Alright, I'm going to go over today's trades. I finished with plus 5 points, but it was a bloodbath today, and I was in the fire of Mordor all day trying to get this going, which actually it would have been an easier day had I just left my stops alone, and I'm going to show that, but here we go. So I'm really trying to focus on daily context as well, and the lesson that I just learned was more on the momentum of the market. So if the market's doing something, there's a good chance it's going to keep doing that. So overall, we're in a range right now, so that's probably what it's going to keep doing. So here's my first trade. We had just a clear wedge, but there was a couple things that was concerning for me. We do have kind of like a double bottom here with yesterday, but the thing that I really wanted to happen, I was going to enter in on this bar right here, this one, but it did not close above the open. So if it would have closed literally 2 ticks more, I was going to go with that bar. So I decided to wait until I got an additional bar closing on its high. So we have this bar closing on or near its high. The problem and my concern was that we were in a range, which we were. We're in a range right here, so we have kind of big up, big down, little up, little down, so we're just kind of going sideways. So this bar closes, and I get into, I'm trying to show, I get into this trade, and it was going good, and I'm checking this is the 10-minute chart. So I'm just kind of checking, like, okay, yes, look, we have 1, pullback, 2, pullback, 3. We do have a wedge here, like right here, and kind of this double bottom from the pre-market hours. So then I'm thinking, okay, this could possibly be the low of the day. And my goal was to get, test maybe the high of yesterday, and then worst case scenario right here, because what happened was we had this big up, big down yesterday, just a trading range yesterday, and then right after close it sold off to down here. So I'm thinking this is our overall range right here, this area. So I get this bar, and this is what kind of started freaking me out, because we failed to get above this. And realistically, this trade worked out, but I don't think it was a great trade. Just because we're gapped so far from the EMA. Most of the time, if you're gapped either up or down, and it touches that EMA, it's going to keep trying to go the same direction. So we're downtrend right now. We haven't even touched the EMA. There's going to be limit order sellers here at the EMA. So at best, they're looking to retest this low of the day. So now we have a bar closing on its low right after that, which was concerning. And then we had a crappy bar right here, crappy bull bar right there. Now we have, I forgot what happened here. Every time it just shot up, it shot right back down. So now I'm thinking we're in a breakout, and this should have been my warning sign right here. What made me go into this trade is if you look at this close compared to this close, or this close compared to these closes, it closed high, okay? So that's what gave me a little bit of confidence. The thing that I did not realize until this bar is right there, this bar did not close above this bar. So that would have made me a lot more confident, and I wouldn't have probably moved my stop, but after that, we had another bad follow-through bar, and then this was the kicker. We have a wedge now. 1, pullback 2, pullback 3, and we have a bear bar, not really a good one. So I moved my stop to below these swings right here, just because if we are in a range, meaning this range, I know overall context we're in a range, but this little range right here, I'm technically buying near the top, and I don't want it to come back down here, because if people get trapped in a range like this, it's going to come down even farther. So I did move my stop, and then watch what happens. It just slams down. So that pissed me off pretty good. Not because that it happened to me, but just because I was not paying attention well enough. So that was my first trade. So I'm at negative. It happened so fast I can't even tell. I don't know, like negative 7 or 8. Probably 7.5. So then I'm thinking to myself, I should have just left my stop. Even if I was wrong, I should have just left my stop. But if you look at this, we have a wedge, and now we have a bull bar closing on its low. So technically, if this was a trend, that would be a good sell right here. But the context is not a trend. The context is a range. So now we have, this doji followed by a bull doji followed by a bear bar. Now we have this bull bar closing on its high. So that means that they have basically stopped it and held it above the open, and now we're looking to break out. So if the breakout was successful, which 80% of the time it's not, this would have been my entry. So as you can see, almost all of my trades, every single trade that I took today was at least positive 3 to 6 points, which is pretty frustrating because in my mind I should have scalped. If you're in a range, you should scalp and shouldn't really be looking for swing trades, even though we have a swing trade right here. But I just don't want to alter my strategy. And since I'm starting kind of, fresh over with these new accounts, I've told myself if I see a reasonable trade, I'm going to take it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to take it because you have to feel the pain if you're wrong to actually look for the reason why you were wrong. So after this, I kind of noticed, and you can see on the line chart, and that's something that I really like to do is switch to a line chart. Look at this crap. That's terrible right there. So I could tell it was probably trying to come right back up here, that 41.39. That's an important level. So it ends up going up, and then it has a tail on top, and then this was my concern here. It could not get above that tail again. And so in my mind, I told myself, okay, if this closes low, that's a failed breakout of the range. It's best to just get out. I was looking for a really good follow-through bar, which we did not get. So I'm like, okay, I'll take a point or two profit, cover my commissions, and then if we get another higher low, then I would be interested, because that's just showing like the bulls are putting up a good fight, but they don't make much ground. So after this, once again, failed to break out, and I knew right there it wasn't gonna go anywhere. So it comes back down, and I got stopped out, and I got like a 0.75 maybe. So that was my third trade, I think. So now I took a really risky trade because even though we're in a range, we're still making higher highs and higher lows. Higher high, higher low. Now we have this bull bar closing on its high. So we have this bad follow through doji, bull bar closing near its highs, basically a doji. But to me, from here to here, that's worth the risk, because that's about 3 or 4 points. And you can obviously see that the bulls they're hanging on. It never came back down to test this low yet. So I thought it was worth the risk. Once again, I get in the trade. It goes up pretty good. 3, maybe 4. Yeah, freaking 4 points, 5 points. And then I start looking on this line chart, and this was what's concerning right here. Sorry, I keep switching back and forth. Now we got this double top issue. So now I'm looking at, okay, if we have problems right here, we're kind of in trouble, because the bears have done this all night. So here was the close of yesterday right here, and after the close we had this. So really we're still in the overall range, and the bulls are having issues at getting back to previous high. So at that point I'm really starting to just look for shorts. Yeah, so I moved it to break even, and this is what the other thing that was pretty confusing to me is every time we had a strong bull bar, it was followed by relatively strong selling. So bears were basically making money above selling above bar. This one didn't really count because that's an inside bar, but um, we just never had two strong bull bars in a row. So once again, we tried to break out, didn't break out, but now we have support at the EMA, and that's why I went ahead and went in on this pretty risky trade. Probably not a great idea, but look what happens. Once again, it goes up and then just immediately comes back down. So that's telling me nobody's buying up there. It may get there, but nobody's buying. They're taking profit and they're getting out. So everybody's just really scalping. So at this point, I decide to just sit tight and see what happens. So I'm not convinced that the bulls are that strong, because we have these two bull bars, bad follow through, doji, 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 big bull bar, bear bar. Now we have three big bull bars at the end of our wedge. So now we have one pullback, two pullback, three. So they're trying to break out of this wedge. And if this bar closed on its low, that's worth the risk to me, because I'm only risking about 3 points here. And that's a failed breakout. Once again, they failed to break out above this range. Or that, I guess they did. And they made a measured move. So that from here, if I measure from here to here and here to here, they're exactly at the measured move. They're not making much headway. Now we have a bearish inside bar. So this was a little bit appealing to me. It wasn't the strongest bar, but I also like that it started out bullish. And then once again, we have a micro double top. We have an inside bar. The bulls could not make it. And see, I'm kind of checking out. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see where exactly. And then I look on a higher time frame chart, and you can clearly see, we got a wedge going on. So 1, pullback 2, pullback 3. And even though they didn't fall below, if I move to a smaller time frame, like 5-minute chart, these bars did fall below. There were, higher lows or bars that fell below previous bars. So this is pretty appealing to me. And then also, basically it would be a failed breakout above, once again, above this range. So now we have a wedge that's not making much headway. We're not making, strong bars closing on their highs. Now we got this tail on top. So I can see, this is what I'm going off of. We're going to try to come back here and test this range at minimum. So I get in this trade, and it starts to look pretty good. And I was a little bit upset with this because I'm trying to figure out a target. The chances of making the low of the day, I think, are pretty low, and I don't think it is back there. Let me check real quick. So right now it's at 41.28. So it came all the way back down here, which is basically the open. So I'll explain why I was upset about this. I could not figure out a target. And so basically what I was going to do is see how many bull bars we get in a row and then make a measured move off of that. So I know that right here, and you can tell it fought really good right here. The bulls are not wanting this to happen. But we end up getting, the volume just spiked up. Now we have 3 bear bars in a row. And so now I'm looking for a measured move right here. So this is a better probability thing. And then right when I set my target, you'll see my mouse kind of stops. My wife came home, and I was trying to help her unload the car, which took literally a few minutes. And before I even came back, it just slammed it. So right now, let's see, 41... at 41.29, so that's not right. So right now it's about right here. But anyway, so those were the trades today, and ranges as a new trader are difficult. When they're not clear like this, because like if we had a top here, a bottom, a top, and then a bottom. Like, obviously, you're going to look to go long here. But we never even really made it there. And I would have liked to seen a higher low, like, closer to down here. Because then you could have, like, a possible major trend reversal. But we don't have any major trends going on. We're in a range. So, yeah, luckily got out 5 points. I stopped. My rule now is I don't trade until 9 o'clock. I'm on Central Time, and I'm off by 11. And if I miss the swing trade of the day for that, which would have been this one really, too bad. So those are my rules, 9 to 11, and that's about it. So plus 5-ish points today, I think. Maybe 6. No, 5. 5 points. Yep. So hope this helps.